it out. Check my style. Check it out. Don't jock my style.
Learned a new steak thing, I have to tell you. Changed my entire game.
See the fake dog that you see before can even spell. My flow spilled with words you can't pronounce, stories you can't tell.
So, hello everybody. Welcome to the second episode of what is now Talk to 'Em. That's what I said I was going to name it last time. A little background about the background of what I'm going to say is I've been wondering whether or not I should listen to any of these, like after I've done them. So I listened to I listened to the beginning, I listened to the intro, so yes, it was Viking Man, and the outro was Viking Man, and I listened to about 10 minutes of it, and I really didn't. I then immediately wondered why I even did this, and so I'm not gonna ever listen. Oh, I'm probably not ever gonna listen to them again. So all of this is done in one take. And that's just how I'm going to do it. So if it's ever like lengthy or boring, we're going to try to keep editing completely to a minimum, and we're just going to try to do them in one takes and completely live in the room, because I mean that's more or less just like kind of having a conversation with this green microphone. Once again, we are with Zaboomafoo.
Hey.
He was just telling me about his week, and he's had some bad days at work and stuff, but you know, everybody does. And so that's Captain Planet is, I believe, at home, probably nuzzling gently in his bed.
He's probably hitting the snooze right now.
He's got Egyptian cotton sheets or whatever. Nice sheets. They are very nice.
It's like 1,000 count or something like that.
I don't know. My man paid an arm and a leg to be comfortable in bed.
Yeah, he's putting the work in the sheets.
So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my week. And this is the background. Now we just went through the background of the background. Now we're just into the background, and then we'll get into it. So don't fear. So far out of I mean I put it up or whatever. So
Perfectly fine.
yeah, my dude put it up. His name was just bleeped out.
One of my favorite parts about this is getting to bleep.
Yeah, I like the bleeping. I like the bleeping because, to be honest with you, there really is no need. There's absolutely no need for it. I mean, there's whose identity am I gonna protect, and what am I gonna say?
That's protecting my identity.
I really just think it's funny.
It's hysterical. You're protecting the identity of someone who has no identity.
Yeah, before we're keeping the government sacred.
I don't even exist. It doesn't matter.
No, that's like when my dude applied for the apartment. He's just like, I make this much money. That doesn't make any sense. But I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my week. I put it up, and it got some pretty positive feedback from the people that did listen to it. They said that they enjoyed it. I don't know if they would have told me that they didn't, but I appreciate everybody that did listen to it. That's great. This week I was driving. I was at my cousin's house playing some video games, and I was on my way back home to my girlfriend's house, and I was getting off of the exit on exit 6, and I smacked a pothole in my little car. For those of you who know me, I have that little black Audi that I cherish that is now basically, it's a heap. But it's so much fun to drive. It's really the best and most exhilarating way to take a corner for the money. I mean, it's all-wheel drive, and the Quattro has an unbelievable racing pedigree. It pretty much was the unfair advantage in the 80s of Group B rally racing. We can get into that some other time. But I hit a pothole, and I immediately knew that it blew my front right tire, which also concerned me because I had hit it the day before, and I said, I'm never going to do that again. And then I blew up my tire on it. So I was sitting there wondering, A, whether or not I was literally going to get this tire fixed, and then it was just going to immediately happen again. Because I had already said I'll never do that, and then the very next day I did it. So I was sitting at the Sunoco waiting for AAA, and I was also wondering whether or not my control arm to my car was going to finally give way. But it didn't, and I got it all fixed up, and so the Audi is now back in commission. And it taught me a valuable lesson, just like with your phone. It's like when something doesn't work and you're like, "Oh, you're feeling down about maybe your phone screen is cracked or something, and you're like, "Oh, I wish I had a new one." And then it finally it breaks, and you're like, whatever, it doesn't even matter. And then 10 minutes later, you're like trying to turn it back on. You're like, "Yo, that was a good phone. I wish I had one." So today I was reminded of my lesson getting into my car, that I do love that car still, and it's terrific. Another thing that I thought was funny is, for those of you that know my mother, I was getting in the car yesterday. She picked me up at work to bring me to the mechanic to pick up my vehicle, which had an oil change, replacement tire put on it, and a control arm done. And so I'm on my way there, and I was like caught in something in her purse caught my eye, because I don't know, my mom is not the type of woman to carry CDs in her purse. So I was like, oh, okay. It took me a little bit by surprise. And so I pull it out. I have it here for you. Just wait 1 second. I brought in the control arm. I was going to, but I also brought in the CD. I actually brought in the CD. I don't know why I have props, but for some reason it feels, it feels more like intimate of a conversation with the people listening if you know I'm holding it in my hand.
If you can only imagine, guys, if you can visualize this, he's holding it.
I'm gonna put up a picture underneath when I post it of the CD. It's clearly a very low produced mixtape that my mother bought, and so I was like what? It's like got a red rose. It says Dark Alley or Dark All or something, DRKALL, the compilation volume 1. So if you haven't gotten your copy, head down to the Flats of Holyoke.
My favorite part about that is that they printed the cover. It's obviously from a home printer, but they decided to create it with black and red ink. So they just absolutely destroyed this cover. It doesn't even fit the gem case the right way.
No, so my mom, honestly, she was like, I didn't know what kind of music this was gonna be. I wish there was a way that we could play it.
We could, if there's a CD player, I mean, we could do it.
We're gonna find out if the Xbox One is a CD player. Here, pull out whatever's in there.
In the middle of a... How do I seriously do not know how to use an Xbox.
Yeah, screw it.
I really do not know how to do that. I'm sorry that the technical... I'm the one who produces this podcast, and I don't know how to use an Xbox One. I looked at it, and there's no buttons. I don't know
to be completely and fairly honest with him, I actually don't really know how to use it either. But I can play Skyrim on it. So good. I love Skyrim. So the first song of this album, looking through it, I'm like, Mom, did you buy a mixtape?
Oh, we could put some of it in post-production if you wanted.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the outro of this is just going to be 5 seconds of ready for this? Of Dope Game.
Sick.
Featuring Double Ghettos and Ray Guns. RAE Guns. I at first thought it was Ray Guns.
Hold up. His name's Ray Guns?
Ray Guns. Oh, Ray Guns.
That's sick.
Oh, no, but I thought it was Bay Guns.
Does he start talking about, like, the Ray Gun administration?
There will never be a time that I will find out.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to listen to that mixtape. I really am.
You can have it.
Oh.
This is, and you know what's weird? This is the third mixtape that I've got.
Yeah, I keep getting this. I've gotten so many mixtapes from Springfield and Holyoke because of this guy.
The last time I was at a really nice house in Westfield, but this guy was from Texas, and he was showing me he had a really very, I mean, if you're from Springfield, you know what a nice Integra looks like. You think of all the ones that you see in Springfield, and then think of what it would look like if it was nice. It was, and it's from Texas, so I mean, obviously, what does Texas have? Everybody like ding, 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 no salt on their roads. So no rust, which is completely and totally foreign to a car from 1993 in Massachusetts. And it was really interesting. And then all of a sudden, he starts telling me about that I should learn Hebrew, and then gave me his mixtape. And
Is that the last one that you gave me?
What was the other one?
That one in like the super big case. It was like
Yeah.
a big ass plastic.
It
case.
looked like a Sega CD
It
case.
did. It was
Yeah.
weird, and the cover was hand drawn with like colored pencils.
He does those drawings.
That was pretty.
I
it was
actually,
attractive.
I would actually assume that he's a pretty talented guy.
I haven't even listened.
I
to
don't.
it.
I'm not, and I'm not even saying anything bad about him. I'm. He was very friendly. It was just. It was.
Oh wait. You gotta say how Martha got that though.
Oh, sorry, everybody. So 'cause that's why is here to keep me on track.
double beeps. We got 2 beeps.
Oh.
3 beeps so far. I
Well,
love it.
No, you don't have to. I'm saying my mom.
Well, no, you said my name twice.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I'm clearly not on my game this week. It's hard to do this. So I asked my mom. I'm like, how did you get this mixtape? Because that's super weird. And she was like, well, these people came up to my car and they were asking me to look at their music to support them, and they were asking $15 for donations, which is also weird to come up to somebody at a gas station, especially like a 65-year-old woman, walk up at a gas station and be like, hey, you absolutely look like you need. Do you? I don't even know what that is. HELIFUE? Helifu? Whatever.
I don't even. What?
I'm serious, yeah. So I'm like, how'd you get the CD? So she was like, well, I
It says
gave.
believe.
Does it say?
Yeah. I thought it gets spelt right though.
That B looks like an H.
Well, maybe they're just bracking.
So she gave him a $5 donation, and then goes, oh, and also I bought it like 3 days ago, and I listened to the first song, which is Dope Game. You're gonna hear it at the end, and I didn't understand what they were saying or any of the words, and so I put it back in my purse, and it's kind of like been like haunting me, like I've been like nervous of it, and so my mom, 3 days ago from yesterday, bought a mixtape for $5 from some people that came up and kind of made her, and then listened to it, and it scared her, so she kept it in her purse, and it made her nervous like a Horcrux from Harry Potter. And that's just some funny stuff that happened in my week.
So incredible.
So the name of this podcast is going to be lunch, and there's a bunch of different topics for each different ones, and some of them will have more than one topic, but this one is basically just going to be a little bit about people that I guess you could say admire, or people admire Hitler, but they don't agree with him or like him. They're just fascinated by the sociology. Like I'm saying, you can admire. Because I might want to. Dude, if you could be like, yo, you could have lunch with the devil and you'd be fine. You can ask him everything you wanted. And I'd be like, well, can you have lunch with God? And they'd be like, no. I'd be like, you know what? I guess I would. I'm using admiration in the fact of just like fascination. Could be the same word.
Well, I'd have lunch with the devil. I think that would be fantastic. Can you imagine the gossip?
I don't know if I would eat the food he got.
I don't think there's no food in
It
hell.
would all
Though.
be fruit.
There's no food in hell.
I wouldn't go to hell.
Oh, I'd totally go.
I'd go to Morton's.
Screw hell, I'm going to Morton's.
Yeah, so there's some rules of the lunch. Is the rules of the lunch are either it's in a setting that I would choose, and usually what I would choose is a setting of their own desire. Now, one thing is I love cars, and I don't have any celebrities that I really I'm like, wow, they're cool. Like, I don't know. There's nobody that I want, like, I watch movies and stuff, but there's no celebrity that I literally go out of my way to be like, what the fuck did Ryan Gosling eat for lunch yesterday?
Celebrities aren't all that impressive anymore.
I am, for some reason, pretty fascinated with their worth. I'm always looking up. Me and my girlfriend are literally always looking up celebrity net worths. If you type in a celebrity net worth, any celebrity, into Google, it will pretty much come up with one of those things where so many people have asked it. There's a box that gives you exactly the information you're looking for. You all know what I'm talking about if you've used the internet ever. And
and you are right now.
you are probably using the internet right now, or you're not meaning to, and you're saying, please turn this off or turn this up.
We could put these all out on cassette tapes if you wanted to.
Yeah. If you have anybody that doesn't know how to use the internet and they want to hear talk to them, just contact me and I'll get them like a VHS with just audio on it, or I'll get them an 8-track.
Oh my god.
And also, I mean, I choose lunch because I love to eat. I've eaten a lot of very, very nice food. My family, my mom and my dad, they like to go out to nice, very nice places. So I've eaten food that you shouldn't. Like I stopped ordering from the children's menu when I was probably 6. Because like I don't want some brat burger or something. Give me like a give me since I was a medium rare kid until about 12. And then I switched to red, just completely rare. But
Just to clarify, that's not about portion control either. It's about quality of the food.
they're not gonna pay as much attention to children's food. Children don't care. And a lot of these places wouldn't have a children's menu. You don't. I mean, look up Abe and Louie's in Boston. Look up Smith and Lewinsky in New York City or Boston. Look up the Palm in New York City or Morton's. They used to be in Hartford. Now you got to go down to close to Boston to get that. But if you look up any of these places, they're not going to have a children's menu. I mean, you could literally go in there and be like, I want this, and the chef will be like, yes, I will make whatever you want for you. I would like this for my children. They'll do that. So I choose lunch because it's not like as serious as dinner. But it's it's casual. I feel like that's a great time to get to know somebody if you are only going to talk to them probably once. So Top Gear has always been literally like, I love cars, so that show being probably the only really proper show to do cars correctly for everybody, being that it's in the UK version only, being that it's entertaining for just about every demographic. They're very multicultural. There's dry humor, funny, and I am boring, so I don't know. It's been like I've had the taste in television shows of a 70-year-old man for my whole life. My favorite show after the Rugrats was Modern Marvels. I watched if my brother's listening right now, you comment how much we used to watch Modern Marvels. You already know.
Oh, your brother was in a way the intro.
Oh, yeah, that was my brother telling me that he just found a new way to eat steak, Game Changer. And then that was a song by Joey Badass.
Fantastic experience to be in the car and have a car read a text message to you in its robot voice. It was very cool.
And it was about, figured out a new way to cook steak, change my game or whatever. So, Top Gear eventually went off of the air because I'm sure all of you know Jeremy Clarkson. Probably you don't, but I'm assuming everybody on my Facebook page actually probably does.
I immediately felt like there should have been a round of applause when you said his name. Is that strange?
Why, Jeremy Clarkson?
Yeah, like there should just immediately, we're doing a little golf clap.
Nah, he's an asshole. I wouldn't clap for him.
I absolutely would.
If he fell down, I would.
No. This man is a genius. Jeremy Clarkson's a genius.
He wouldn't clap for you.
It's so. Oh, I don't. That's why I love him so.
Oh, true.
He wouldn't clap for me. I don't deserve to be clapped for. I'll clap when I'm impressed. Jeremy Clarkson is an impressive human being.
I feel like he's just. I mean, I would clap for race car drivers.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would be impressed by them as well.
Yeah, I would be.
I mean, Jeremy Clarkson's a special person, though.
He's a special man. I would let you clap. I wouldn't say anything if you clapped for him.
It just made sense though to like hear a podcast and his name comes up, and I expected a TV audience to be clapping.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And so right now, what we're actually watching on TV is the first episode of The Grand Tour. And that's just playing in the background. Somebody's here in the apartment. Now, Top Gear went off of the air in like, oh, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago? I don't remember the actual dates. I don't remember, but he ended up he's kind of a snub man, whatever you'd call it, and he punched his producer in the face because he was promised a plate of cold meat. He was promised a steak, and they gave him a plate of cold meat after like a 12-hour day of shooting, and that was unacceptable. So he got into a verbal argument, which turned into a physical altercation, which then made the BBC drop Top Gear, their largest cash show. You know, that was their bread and butter in America, pretty much the world. That is the most viewed television show on Earth that was factual based besides the news.
Which is just an incredible thing to think about. The
Yeah.
fact that these, well, one mainly, but basically 3 British guys with this incredibly dry humor,
Richard Hammond, James May, and Jeremy Clarkson.
capable of, they're just such a common man that everybody in the entire world could get along with what they were saying and enjoy it on any continent, under any culture, any circumstance. It's some very, very, very good television, and has been there for me every single time that I needed it to be. which is
Oh, Top
fantastic.
Gear is the ultimate comfort show.
It's not just a car show.
I was just looking at a video quickly on my phone of a porcupine eating a piece of pineapple. Yeah, it made me feel nice. What time is it?
It's 7:30 p.m.
So it's, yeah, nice.
It's 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, the 23rd of the second month of our Lord's year 2017. That's how people used to say the date, giving respect to the month and the year, you know?
The year of our Lord. So
No, really, like the 23rd day of the second month of the year 2017. That's what it should be. Gives you more of a concept of how far through the year you are. And
that doesn't make sense. The calendars are weird.
calendars are wrong.
We should do one about time and calendars.
I'd be fantastic. We'd have to get a Chinese guest, though, because they got the calendar system and they got time right.
I think what I would have to do also first is develop an interest in that, and then I mean, I guess I do now, but then I have to learn a bunch about it.
You were early for this.
When?
Today.
Oh, doing this today?
Not only were you on time, you were fucking early.
What, to record this?
Yes.
Oh, we're releasing this on Saturday.
Well, we could release this at the end of the night, but I mean, it was just very...
It's got to be Saturday.
That's, for anyone who knows, my man here, my dude was early.
Oh, I've never been on time in my entire life.
You were early, though. I drove up and I saw your car and I was completely taken aback. I swear to you, I had to think for a second, like, well, maybe he's getting dropped off, is seriously the first thing that I thought. You were more ready than me today.
It's just who I am as a human being, is I'm just going to be late.
That should be one that we do, though, about your, oh, what did I call it? I had a paradox.
Oh, the pig paradox?
Yeah, the pig time paradox is a very real thing. We talked about it in depth on a car ride the other day, and it's, I mean, I think there's ways that we could scientifically prove that time actually reacts differently to your life than everybody else's. It's incredible.
I would have to have, I would for real life have to have my friends and other people be on that podcast just so that we could have them clarify it. It's not even something that I've brought up. It's not even my idea.
Well, I live a completely separate life from normal people time, but I do have to function on normal people. Thank you. Such a gentleman. I do have to function on normal people time during the business week, and so I have a very good idea of how that functions for most people. And as someone who follows time frames to a T, when I spend time with you, everything actually changes. An hour's not really an hour anymore. It's like 2 hours. You could fit 2 hours into one pig hour until something changes, until you have to go somewhere else. And then suddenly an hour is 25 minutes long. It makes no sense. I've never understood it.
For whatever reason, I literally am always late.
We went on what? It was supposed to be an hour and a half long car ride.
Hour and 45 minutes to Foxborough.
And it took
2.5 hours.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Oh,
we made time
we
on
took,
the.
we took one like 4-minute wrong turn according to the GPS, and I got gas.
And I peed one time. On the way back, not even on the way there.
No, on the way back we made great time. It
We
was
made
'cause I
great
wasn't-
time on
I
the
wasn't
way
because we
there.
didn't have to be back.
It doesn't. Oh, that's. And there is the paradox in itself.
Oh yeah,
Because we didn't have to be back, we made perfect time. If we had to be there, we made terrible time. Somehow, like we fell into a vortex.
I'm blessed to where I have a job that I can be 10 minutes late every day, and they expect me to be there. And if I'm there at 9, they will literally say, "Wow, you're early," and they are okay. That's terrific. But it's really I have to. I mean, if I would have to really, really, really buckle down if I had to be somewhere specifically at a time.
It's still impossible.
I try.
I think it has to do with your concept of quality of life, though. I really do think that's what it boils down to. Because
I would believe
you're
that.
gonna choose to take the 5 seconds
to
to
do
me- to find the wallet or to find your key, because you know that later you're not gonna have the time.
Because so many times have I just left without everything that needs to be in my pockets,
really stunts the day.
and then I'm like, oh yeah, I needed that Leatherman. Literally 600. Actually, somebody walked up to me and said, if you give me your Leatherman right now, I will literally give you a college degree to anywhere you want.
I watched Jeremy Clarkson fix all of the wiring on his Porsche in the...
James May, you watched.
No, it was Clarkson.
Oh.
It was Clarkson. They were on that washboard road for so long that it had the front suspension had punctured the frame.
They do have a team of mechanics.
I know, but he was pulling it apart. There was footage of him pulling it apart with a Leatherman, and then it was just interesting to see. It was an interesting thing, like, because he almost never breaks down on those specials.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do all the time.
Well, no, but I mean, like, I've never seen him, like, working on electronics, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah.
It's usually like, I'll fix it like this, and it's with bricks and mortar or fucking whatever.
A lot of
It's like-
times with electronics, you can fix them with hitting them.
That's true.
Whap them a couple times.
I use it's electronics are the only thing that functions intermittently or falters intermittently. If it's mechanic,
mm,
is that what you taught me the other day? What is
oh,
it?
I would have to look up exactly that. There's a property of things that you fix that sometimes they will work intermittently. I don't want to say it and then have it be incorrect. It was fresh in my mind that day. But Jeremy Clarkson punched his producer in the face. We have to digress because we'll never get through this.
It's true.
It's true.
Oh wow, we went off right there. Oh, it ended with Clarkson.
Yeah,
and
we talked about
Leatherman.
the calendar. It was all roundabout.
Boom, Leatherman. Boom, Clarkson.
Also, another reason I'm doing this is because really, honestly, it takes me about an hour to get even one point across. It does. Like a TED Talk, it takes me pretty much for everything. So I don't. People that know me, they know that they have to give me time to explain.
I enjoy it. The discourse is great.
Yeah, it is. This is actually ending up being pretty fun. So Jeremy Clarkson ended up punching his producer in the face, and then BBC came out with a thing, and they said, "Hey, sorry, we're gonna have to kick him out. Jeremy's he's finally done enough to where he's off of the BBC." Now the BBC is literally kind of just like PBS, so it would be like if PBS had a show that you actually wanted to watch. And watched it. I mean, besides Mr. Rogers, look up Mr. Rogers. You know what, really quick, Mr. Rogers would be somebody I would eat lunch with.
Oh,
'Cause he's the
absolutely.
man. Look up what he's done for education in America.
Should we clarify the PBS BBC thing? I don't know if everybody knows what that actually means. There's a lot of, like, kids, like younger people. I don't think they really grew up watching television the way we did. Like, it's public access is basically what we're trying to say. It's funded by the people who watch. It's viewer-funded television for the most part.
Yeah, it's they have low budgets. They're not allowed to advertise. Like so when they do things on Top Gear, they would have to come up with their own fake companies. If they entered a 24-hour race one time in a diesel, a 5 Series diesel, and they had to come up with all their own fake companies for stickers. But basically, this guy has been an important man in television and in my daily life forever. And he has a terrific way of explaining vehicles, which I think vehicles are probably, anything with a motor is like the most important thing for me therapeutically. I like the way they work. I like everything about them. I really, really, really like driving. I love cars. I love regular cars. I mean,
Regular Car is fantastic.
I'm saying just even regular cars. Regular Car is a great show. It's a
Fantastic.
YouTube show if you have never seen anything about cars. It's that one's... See, Top Gear is different than Regular Car because you really actually have to like cars to watch it. Top Gear, you could watch one of the specials with Top Gear with your grandmother. You could watch one with...
And giggle all the way.
With anybody. Me and my mom relate to it. Me and my dad like to watch it. All of my friends have accompanied it into their lives. And racing is like one of the most important things in the world.
It's also it's really nice to hear the Brits with the commentary because they have an outsider perspective on our own auto market. Like we were watching the V8 special and they were talking about how America chose to, dial back emissions and dial down road capability of their automobiles, and it basically choked out the V8, which is something that you probably wouldn't hear on an American program as much because it's kind of it brings to rise the faults.
It's a widely known fact, obviously. Everyone knows that. American TV knows that, but American TV is mostly just like, hey, this BMW is wicked fast,
Right.
and guess what? It's expensive. Have sex with it. Like, what? They're kind of like, hey, this BMW M2 is great. Can I fit a 50-inch TV in it? And also drive it real well. And they're very well spoken. They're all three of the presenters are pretty good at their jobs, and they're all they all write. Jeremy Clarkson is a writer. James May is just wicked smart, and Richard Hammond is a radio. I believe he was a radio personality first. But they all do very good films. It's great. It's like eye candy to watch the whole time. And that show was going to be off the air. It was still strong and it had been going on for 22 seasons. And it ended. And so I was like, oh no, I'm never going to be able to see Jeremy Clarkson again. And I was watching
Sad.
I was watching the Perfect Road Trip. It's where they go on a road trip and they have all of the nicest, finest cars, and they don't take James May. And so it's the perfect road trip. And Richard Hammond hates to eat stuff. And I love to eat stuff. And I forget where they are. But Jeremy is sitting there and he's got a squid on his plate. And he's just telling Richard to eat it. Like you would tell your little kid, like, come on, I don't want to hear it. Just try it. Just eat it. And he's like, I brought you to my favorite lunch by the seaside. I think they were in Italy, or maybe Monte Cristo. But they were, it was the nicest place to be. And I thought, you know what? I want to think of who I would like to eat lunch with. And so as mundane of a podcast this is going to be for the second one, we're going to talk about that. So, Jeremy Clarkson finally ended up getting back on the air through Amazon, and now they do the Grand Tour, which is terrific. They've been given like 10 times of a larger budget, and the celebrity is now back in the limelight, being able to do exactly what he wants with a larger budget, with no rules, and that's great. So check out the Grand Tour too, because that's true.
I think there's two things I want to mention about Jeremy Clarkson before we go any further. The first one being that Top Gear was a show long before Jeremy Clarkson, but it picked up its celebrity status once he became part of the show.
Yeah.
He changed the way the show was, and it eventually took it to a new level and made it what it became.
It finally became them. It became those three.
The other thing that's important to mention is that when he was forced to leave Top Gear, they finished the season out, and then everybody, the the other presenters, the production team, everybody involved said that if Jeremy wasn't involved, they weren't going to do it anymore. So when they got picked up by Amazon, the entire production team and both of the presenters came over and they started the new show, which is just the most insane thing to think about, because those people are so in tune with each other and enjoy working with Jeremy so much and creating what his vision is, that they left, they left the BBC and came over to Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty widely known that James May and Richard Hammond weren't going to do the show without Jeremy.
Absolutely, but the whole production team too? That's
Well, it wasn't the
incredible.
whole production team.
I thought it was most of them though, right?
We're going to talk about that in the second person I would like to eat lunch with.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, what is very little known is you really only know, and we've really only ever known Jeremy, May, and Richard. But you really can't attribute any of their success, and you really don't see the whole picture until you know who Andy Willman is. And Andy Willman is one of the leading, I think he's the executive producer. And he was the executive producer of Top Gear. And so I only knew him through when they would say, well, the producers think, or the producers just got one. They basically mention him all the time in the show, but I'd never seen his face. And so one day I was getting amped up for the Grand Tour to come out, because it was probably 2 years that there was nothing. There was talks that they might do a new show, but nothing concrete. Kind of like when you hear, like, oh, they're gonna make Grand Theft Auto 6, and you're like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's gonna come out in 2020. You're like, well, who knows?
Do you remember the webpage that they started up during the time in between he left the show and started the new show that was just calculating his net worth?
No.
That was a real thing. So when the show ended, I started doing more research about, just kind of thinking what, excuse me, what was going to happen. And you had mentioned how wealthy he was, and how wealthy all three of them were. So it kind of like struck me that maybe they'd go off on their own and do their own thing. And at that point in time, this man takes the piss out of people like nobody, like nobody's business. So at that time, in the most baller way possible, when people were questioning whether the show was going to go on or how he was going to survive or whatever, there was a webpage that was literally just calculating his net worth going up.
James May made a YouTube channel called May's Unemployment Tube, and it was just of James May doing stuff with no job.
That's so fantastic.
He's in a train yard one time because he likes trains.
Oh, I need to watch that.
Yep.
His show, The Reassembler, is next level.
If you enjoy how it's made,
watch the
James May's Reassembler. Found all the episodes can be found on YouTube. Also, mine Head Squeeze is real good.
If you get uncomfortable when things are out of order, and sometimes you need to take an hour to center yourself, watch an episode of The Reassembler. He just puts something back together, has a little chat with you. It's just the man and 3 camera people, and he chats with the camera. He has a cup of tea. What a great experience. It's fantastic.
So Andy Willman is he does a long interview on YouTube. You can look it up. It's an hour long. If you type in Andy Willman Amazon interview, if you're interested. If you watch the show, you will be. If you watch Top Gear and you know anything about this, you should watch that. I was waiting, and I see this video come up on my Xbox YouTube, and it was producer of Top Gear, Andy Willman, talks about Top Gear. And I mean, you can just see it to be where it should be Jeremy Clarkson, James May, Richard Hammond, and then Andy Willman standing next to them. And imagine eating lunch with all 4 of those people. It would be, see that would probably be too much, because it wouldn't, you would literally, it would be like sitting at the table. It would be like being saved in the car world from a go-kart race at like Happy's golf course, and they're like, oh, come on, you can eat with us. And then it would be like eating with like a low-level race car driver eating with 3 or 4 multiple world champions.
The footage I've seen of Andy Willman made me wonder what it's like when him and Clarkson are together, because they're like the same.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Person.
Yep, you got
and
it.
it's just, I can only imagine that having him doing the show and having Andy as his main producer and them being as close as they are as friends.
And I wouldn't want to eat lunch with them both because I'm afraid that I
They
would
would just-
end up crying.
But they just pick on you the whole time.
I know.
It'd
I'm
be
afraid that I
horrible.
would literally actually end up crying.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I mean, being a car. I mean, I don't know. It's like you get to be around. Cars are sick too because they're like watches. They're the finest marriage between ego and artistic capability. I mean, they're technology beyond what is real. I mean, we could do a whole lifetime's worth of discussion on why cars are cool. But yeah, it would be intimidating to eat lunch with both of them at the same time.
It would be more just like watching them eat lunch.
It
Would be
would,
the safest way.
it would be sitting with people that you watched have a conversation. So it would have to be one-on-one. I don't actually know if Andy Willman. I think Andy Willman might literally sit on his phone or look down the whole time, eat half of his meal, and then get up and then leave, or be like, "I'm not ordering anything. I'm eating after." So he would be the second person, because I don't know. People like that are just, they ooze interest. They are wicked. They're wicked in tune with themselves, and the way that he talks about how the BBC ends Top Gear, and then they're like, I don't think anybody could have mended it because I don't think we actually could have. He's like, as a human being, I don't think I could have actually gone and made the apology and then made saved face and gone on with it. It was just it was too crazy. And then when they got offered the Amazon thing, what?
He's just such a terror.
Oh yeah, by the way,
Clarkson's such a terror. He's done so many horrible things to so many people, based solely on his opinion of the products that they created.
well, one time, literally, he tested a Volkswagen, and he said, this Volkswagen's shit, and they put it on Top Gear, and then Volkswagen took the car back, and they pushed the production of the line back 6 months until he could test it again.
It's important. His views are important. They can't go to Mexico, right? Because of all the shit talking that they've done.
There's a lot of places. Well, they can go anywhere they want now. They're not Top Gear. For a while, they
Oh.
couldn't come to America. They could only come to America if they promised to be factual. Because Jeremy Clarkson put a cow on the roof of his IROC-Z Camaro. So yeah, they get themselves into a lot of hot water with the things that they say. Like one time, it made a law that you were not allowed to smoke on TV, and so the very next episode of Top Gear was him ripping big donuts in this big V8 Rover, MG Rover, with a big cigar in his mouth. Or no, he had a pipe. But also, I mean, lunch is also cool because it gets like, being super wealthy and super cars, they go hand in hand. It's just cool. It's like not even cool because having money is cool, but the things that you can do with them if you have $150 million, the things that you can develop and then really put it at the edge of where human beings can like comprehend how to put things together. I don't even know the things that they do with the vehicles today are literally, it's insanity. The KERS systems, they have kinetic energy recovery systems that will put energy into a battery for braking, like the LaFerrari. And so,
it's nice that the necessity of an automobile keeps it, like, we're constantly striving for the next best thing,
the better
newest thing.
Right now, what is the thing that's in is making things as clean and emissions as possible, but also making them as wicked powerful and fast. So now we have hybrids, and I mean the P18 Porsche, the what is it? The successor to the P17, the famous 1960s race car, gets like 92 miles to the gallon, and it's faster than a Bugatti Veyron in a straight line. Now, who knows if those emissions are correct, because Volkswagen owns Porsche and their whole emissions scandal, but I mean, it's definitely getting like 80. Definitely, I mean, 80 miles to the gallon in a $1.6 million hypercar is pretty sweet. So, also what is cool is the first episode of the Grand Tour is Ferrari Ferrari, McLaren, and Porsche all came out with the hypercar of our age. It's the first time in a long time. Every once in a while, there comes out to be like, hey, this is what it's going to be like now. The last car was the Bugatti Veyron. The car before that was definitely the McLaren F1. The car before that was there was a bunch of cars really quick, but the car before that was probably really realistically like the F40, and then the one before that maybe the MK2 GT40. But now finally, it's come to a point where now we have 3 cars that are unarguably so good that it's really kind of what you want. Like, what do you want out of your hypercar now? So now you have a little bit of a choice. So when they got all 3 cars together on the show of Top Gear, they did an episode each to where one of them tested all of them. And then finally the episode where they had them all together, the company said, if you test them, then we will not ever let anybody buy, the owners are not allowed to buy any other special editions of these cars ever. Porsche said they didn't give a shit. They were like, yo, we built these cars to race them. How long have they been racing cars? Since the second one was finished. Is it faster than the first one? That's all we do with them. That's what we want to do with them. So literally they were like, no, you can't do it. So Top Gear was, at the ending of Top Gear, Jeremy Clarkson was kicked off and they weren't allowed to properly test the 3 cars that I would definitely ever want to see. So the first episode of the Grand Tour is called The Holy Trinity. And they got 3 of them. And they test them. I've never been so happy watching the first episode of a show. Never has it been ever so anticipated for me.
I think we all watched it that night. In separate locations.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. Who would the second person be?
Wasn't there a thing about how they obtained those cars
Third
though?
person. Oh, the guy that let them. I don't know if that could have just been some bullshit.
No,
but,
I looked it up.
oh,
That's actually true.
It was Osama bin Laden's grandson.
So
He had all 3 cars.
They weren't gonna let him do it because they were gonna race it, so they couldn't just get the car to use. So they had to find someone who owned one that would allow them to use it, and the person that they found happened to be related to Osama bin Laden, which is pretty funny because they did not give a fuck. He was a car owner. He's a car enthusiast.
Oh, Dubai.
Oh my god.
Look up cars in Dubai.
Yeah, just Google it like a child and just
Yep.
have your mind explode.
Here's a crazy thing. Dubai is building a train that will go. What is it? It'll go 0. It's supposedly supposed to go like 0 to 500 miles per hour in like under like 10 seconds or something, and
Oh my God.
it'll get you, for people that, I forget what the 2 places are. It's like 160 or 170 miles apart or something, but it'll get you there in 12 minutes.
That's incredible. They must have like pressurized the cabins and stuff. So you
I would
you
only
imagine?
assume so. I mean, I have no idea.
lock and load, just blast you. Those people have literally all the money in the world, though.
Yeah.
All of the, just like unquestionable amounts of money.
Who? Oh, the oil money?
Yeah.
Yeah. In Dubai, they have ATMs to where you can get ingots. You can get gold ingots directly from it, little chips of gold. I'm serious. That shit is crazy. Look at it. That is crazy. They have money. They are basically America in the 90s on wicked steroids. Crazy. No military. I mean, I don't know if they have a military. I have no idea about anything except they have cars. That shit is crazy. So I guess the third person would be Warren Buffett.
You speak about Warren Buffett all the time.
Warren Buffett is a cool guy. He started his wealth. My brother taught me this. He started his portions of his wealth by getting gumball machines and pinball machines, I think it was. And he would buy a pinball machine and a gumball machine, and he would put it somewhere. And he would say, "Hey, I'll put this here for free. You can just have it in your store, but I want the money. So you don't have to rent it, but I get the money." And they were like, "Okay, who cares? You know, if Eddie's put a gumball machine there, it was like, I just want the quarters," I'd be like, "Cool, I'll buy gumballs from here." And so then he would basically just go collect the quarters until he had enough money to go buy another machine, or and then put it somewhere else. And that's passive income. It's, you do it once, and then once the initial investment is paid for, it's just all profit. And that's Also, I don't really know anything else about him besides that, other than that he has $50 billion. And $50 billion is 50,000 million dollar bills. A billion is 1,000 millions. That's 50,000 $1 bills. That's so crazy.
Some real fuck you money right
If
there.
you spent $1 a second, it would take you something like 150, like 160 years to spend.
You know, that would be an incredibly good lunch to have, because there's some questions about morality with that. And I would love to see someone's answer that actually had that much wealth.
I would also, I mean, you know what? The setting for the lunch would be wherever Warren Buffett liked to eat. Because you know what? I bet you Warren Buffett is putting on a pretty good spread. I wouldn't eat for like a week.
Get ready. You have to fast.
Or I would only eat rice. I would eat just bowls of rice as much as I could to stretch my stomach as much as possible.
What's that guy? The Takashi guy? Some dude?
The guy that ate 50 hot dogs?
Yeah, it's just crazy. He goes into the six-pack and comes out looking pregnant.
If you want a pretty cool video to look up 50, look up whatever the guy that eats 50 hot dogs. He's the world hot dog champion. Look up the video where they simulate what his stomach would look like. They put hot dogs in like this balloon. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Mark Zuckerberg. I would like to see with Mark Zuckerberg and Tom from MySpace together.
Dude, that would be an interesting talk.
That would be so funny. I would probably want Mark Zuckerberg to be there like on a laptop. Like
Yeah, you could just Skype him in.
No, so I could shut the laptop if I wanted. Because Tom would be way cooler to talk to. I'd be like, yo, Tom, what the fuck was this picture of you? Like, why'd you choose that picture?
I'm just stuck.
That was when nobody even knew. They were like, oh, Tom started MySpace. But nobody even really, like, put it together like, oh, no, Tom is a genius. Tom wrote all the code for this, probably. I don't actually know that, but...
That could be true. Maybe that picture is just locked in the code.
It's math on the back, I'm pretty sure. So I'm...
What?
It's like an equation or something.
Oh, in
on
the background of the
board.
picture.
Tom was all of our friend at one time. He was our first friend.
I never had a MySpace.
Oh man, MySpace is all like just music now.
I didn't know it still existed.
Yeah, you can get up on MySpace. Sometimes I go and I look at my pictures. I still can get into my MySpace.
That's like a photo. That's nice. It's like a photo album.
Yeah. Obviously, I would eat lunch with Bill Nye.
Oh, heck yeah.
Because that would be fantastic. If I could choose Carl Sagan, I would way rather eat with Carl Sagan.
That would be incredible.
Neil deGrasse Tyson would probably be really interesting to eat with. From what I'm understanding, he's just like a wicked nice guy.
Yeah.
Jay Leno said he's the nicest guy he's ever met.
Huh.
He's on an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. Jay Leno, I don't know if I would eat with. I would like to go.
Seems like a prick.
If yeah, he's smart.
Yeah, that's why.
If
though.
you watch Jay Leno's Garage on YouTube, the people that he has on there, if he respects them, you can tell because he literally lets them talk.
Yeah, you showed me that.
And then people like, they have like the leading engineer of Dodge come and he's like, hey, what's up? And no matter what this guy says, like, he's definitely not stupid and he definitely knows about cars. Dodge isn't as cool as Ferrari, but it's pretty. They know. I mean, they know how to build a car. The Viper's a sweet one. The Dodge Neon SRT4 was also great. The first generation Neon changed the game of the
Fastest I've ever gone was in a Viper.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what model?
Cobra?
A Cobra?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't have a Viper Cobra. That's too different.
My uncle, something like that. I don't know. I was a kid. I have no idea.
You're probably thinking that because it had the symbol on the back.
I just don't remember. I don't know. Fastest I ever gone though. No
How
top
fast?
on that bitch. 135.
Wow.
Fastest I've ever been in a moving automobile that wasn't piloted by someone I didn't know.
I went faster than in my Audi.
Oh, I know.
I went 141.5 miles per hour.
People go way faster than that.
That's as fast as absolutely as fast as my car would go.
I guess I shouldn't say that. There might have been another circumstance where I wasn't paying enough attention.
I think it's funny when you're like, oh, how fast does your car go? And you ask people, or they tell you how fast their car goes, and they use the number at the end of the speedometer.
Yeah, that's not...
My car does not go 160.
No.
It doesn't. I think it's capped at 135.
I wonder how fast we went when Spec B.
Oh yeah. You are going to have your name bleeped out 4 times.
We could just talk. I don't think he'd care if we talked about him. He has his own podcast that we've done, so
I know, but with that we have to bleep out all the names.
that's true.
Because that was
Ooh,
funny.
Spectacular.
Yes, that's funny. It's really funny to do. Unless we have a guest on, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, if I have a guest on, I'm probably gonna have them bleep their name out.
They'll get a new name just like everybody else.
Oh, this is the best episode of this show. Last time we watched Kill Bill 2, I've decided if we're gonna keep doing this, I've got to do like things every time to keep the continuity. I know when Wax did his podcast, a rapper that I really enjoy, who's also someone I would eat lunch with. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I would actually rather not eat lunch with him. I would rather have a barbecue. That would be the
illest
setting. Or his brother Herbal Tea.
That man is
You know how to cook.
he is a profound lyricist.
He is an artiste.
He's oh man. Oh
He's
man.
that I've lived off of that music for a while. That the Continue album really took me through one of the most life-changing years of my life. I love that. That I sometimes can't even listen to that album because I've just heard it so many times. I'm assuming it's like the Gourmet and the Mars Volta.
Yeah.
Oh, what's funny is I did that mission with the Gourmet.
What do you mean?
The Gourmet is a person from Skyrim.
Oh really? Really?
Yeah, he's a Khajiit. He's an orc cook from Skyrim that hides his identity. Which is funny that I'm using his name, the Gourmet, to hide. I never call him the Gourmet.
He is though. He so is. Every time I get invited over,
I
he
came
cooks
home
for
the
me.
other day. I came home the other day, and he was like, "Oh, would you like some beef stew? I'm making a recipe from Gordon Ramsay."
He was slicing me off chunks of that nice cheese sauce.
Oh, that's yeah. Oh yeah.
Food is important.
Ah.
Food is a real factor in our lives, in our family. It's
What
a
was
very real thing.
What was I just talking about before I said wax?
Wax.
What was I talking about before wax?
Tom?
Oh, segments. When I started listening, Wax made a podcast. Dude, it's lucky I caught that because that would have ruined the continuity of this.
That
I'm
was
sorry,
insane.
everybody.
Jesus.
I gotta figure out things that I'm going to do like every time. Like he had just different things that he would do every time. Like one of them, he was never gonna miss a week. He made it like 60 weeks.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know how many weeks I'm gonna make it. Eventually, what I would like to do is, if somebody would like to, I would like to eventually do kind of like a regular car reviews, but for myself. And not, I do all of this stuff just because it's fun. Actually, that's an interesting thing. One of the things that I said in my podcast, I listened to the first 10 minutes and I didn't like it. I started questioning why I was going to do this, and the last thing that I listened to was, well, I quote unquote, I was like, well, if you listen to this, that will help me have a podcast, and I've always wanted one. And so that's
The realization of the dream.
that's the realization
It's
of
yes
what I
work.
want one.
It's
yes
just
work.
yes work.
It's just yes work. And so yeah, so eventually what I would like to end up doing with this is basically make a YouTube channel where people just let me drive their car and then review them. And what I'll do is I'll do a 10 or 15 minute review on your car. If you want to be in the video, you can be, and if you don't have to be. And then I'm going to do a bunch of research on that car and that company specifically, probably, and then do maybe another 20-minute like talk about it. Because those are cool. It's a good medium to get my long-windedness out.
Absolutely. You enjoy driving too.
Oh, I love driving. Which brings me to my next point. I mean, race car drivers, I don't know. I don't know if I would want to meet race car drivers.
I feel like they'd just be over it.
Jackie Stewart, I would, because he's still alive, and there's a video of Jackie Stewart when you can see him. He's hanging out and he's real young. He was a 3-time world champion. He was arguably the greatest driver in the world for a while. There's a video of him a long time ago when he's eating lunch in this wicked high-end hotel. He's eating breakfast. Sorry, he's got like toast and jam sitting there, and he's got like his hair or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, how do you do that? Like, how do you do this?" And he's like, "Oh, how do you take this corner?" And he's like, "Oh, well, if you approach a dog that is vicious from behind, you don't want to sneak up to it." Or he's like, "You don't want to race up to it and then abruptly attack it." He's like, "You want to walk up to it and let it know you're coming, and then when you meet the dog, it will then let you pet it instead of bite you," which doesn't make any sense. So this little fucking kid was like Yoda. Race car drivers, like, it's like anybody that skates or anybody that bikes, like, "Yo, how do you do a tail whip video? Yo, so check it out." What you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to do a complete rotation after jumping, have the bike look really stylish, and then click it land clean right away. Or how do I make this souffle? Have 2.5 hours worth of prep work ready and done perfectly in front of you in this very easy to work with kitchen. And now just dump, dab, cook, and I already have one done. This is what it'll look like if you do it perfect. How is that one gonna look? I can't show you. So it's like,
It's interesting too because the repetitive nature of racing, in every other form like skating or biking, it makes you better and gives you an understanding of how to do it within yourself. But in racing, you have to go over 100% all the time.
See, that's the difference in racing now, because I follow the Formula One, and it used to be that these guys, you do it on the edge all the way, no matter what. But now it's all down to emissions and stuff. It's all down to being the most clean. So you might not be able to you might not have that many sets of tires for this weekend, or you might only be allowed this many parts this year. So you may have to play the points game and be like, all right, well, you may have to just finish third because you don't want to push your engine and then blow the engine. So you're going to finish last, no points. As to where in like the 90s with think of this as the money in Formula One racing. Philip Morris, he is the owner of like Marlboro. He owns all of the space on the car for Ferrari, and sight unseen, he gives them $500 million every year just for the advertising space on the car. And they have other advertisers. He doesn't even take up all the space. And it's just like they I forget how much money they get, like $110 million or something. It's like $50 million or something just for showing up to one of the races. And they're the only ones that get it. Ferrari is a little bit like the mob in racing.
Yeah, they're like the pinnacle, huh?
Kind of. Mercedes is where it's at right now. Petronas Mercedes is Nico Rosberg took the they had a 1-2 victory in the championship bracket last year, and Nico Rosberg quit.
Does Ferrari have all that? It's because they paid their dues, right?
Oh, they still have more wins than I'm pretty sure anybody else.
So they are the mom, man.
They are, yeah. They're the best.
It's pretty dope.
Sebastian Vettel and my favorite man in racing, Kimi Räikkönen, they race for Ferrari. So
watching videos of people try to interview Räikkönen
Kimi
is
Räikkönen,
the funniest thing in the world.
That's why I wouldn't see. I would want to eat lunch with Kimi Räikkönen, but I don't know. That would be such a weird time.
It'd be a sour experience.
I would rather get really drunk with him.
That would probably work.
Because this guy during the season doesn't want to go home, so he lives just in the harbor on his yacht in Monaco. If you look up Kimi Räikkönen getting drunk on his yacht, there's a lot of videos.
Stumbling down, falling down off his boat.
Race car drivers back in the day used to be like real cool though. Like you used to see them smoking cigarettes and stuff. You'd see them get out of their car and pump. And they were gritty.
They were gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, I forget when. If you ever watched the movie Rush, it's the story of James Hunt and Niki Lauda, and it was like 1 in 8 drivers would die every season.
My father was stoked on that movie because he said it was an absolutely accurate representation of how everyone felt at the time, because he was around and part of, he was a fan of that racing at that time. And he said those people were just absolutely running.
They were as raw as you could be as human beings.
Running, man.
Yep. It's like what he said. Niki Lauda says at the end. He played the points game. Niki Lauda also is he's one of the lead people on for Mercedes now.
Really?
Yeah, he's at every race. He sets up a car better than anyone in the world.
Yeah, it's basically another Yoda.
Yeah. He is a Yoda. James Hunt wasn't a Yoda. James Hunt was I'm living on the edge type of guy, and that's the difference in the racing back then. So another guy in racing that I would very much like to have lunch with is David Hobbs. David Hobbs is one of the announcers on the Formula One racing, and he was a former Formula One racer back in the days when it's just like whatever. And
So is he like the only surviving?
he's just like senile, kind of.
That's so sick.
And he's just so awesome. David Hobbs is just so awesome. Like, all the time he's just talking about people dying. And all the time he's just... she plays a cards right. She could be my girlfriend. He's like 70. The track was wet on one of the races one time. And it just starts raining. And he's like, oh, it would be terrible to watch the cars pile up. And it's like... The racing isn't like that anymore. I'll give you an example. There was a racer, I believe he raced for Jaguar. This is in like the 60s. And he was entering the Le Mans, the 24 hours of Le Mans. And they found something that couldn't be done with his car there. They were like, all right, no, this is against the rules. It can't race. So he went to the bar and got wicked drunk. And they came back like 10 minutes before the race, and they were like, hey, we fixed it, we're in the race, come on, let's go. And so this guy just literally just thought it was a good idea to go out and fucking just shred this car for 24 hours in Le Mans. And he was doing really well, and he came back and they were giving him coffee at the pit stops because he was like hammered. And he was like, no, don't give me this coffee anymore, it's really bitter, and it's making me jittery. And so they gave him shots of brandy in it. So this guy just basically raced the 24 hours of Le Mans, which back in the day, just to even finish that is insane. Just the fact that they were even doing that was insane. And he, I mean, just as you would expect for somebody really drunk to be driving a car, he ended up winning the race.
Nailed it.
And so a gold medal run.
Absolutely nailing it. And having the sense to know that he had to keep consistent.
Yeah.
With his mindset.
So
Pretty crazy. People talk about stuff like that though. You're not supposed to drive drunk apparently.
Well, now it's obviously you shouldn't. Any race car driver in the
Who's
world
on a
will say don't
racetrack?
drive drunk.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And you shouldn't drive drunk anyway. He was probably only doing well because he was probably an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And he was probably like, no, I drink enough every race.
What you guys didn't know.
So
This is normal for me.
I mean, I really can't think. How long are we into this?
We're at 115 minutes.
So probably we'll end pretty soon.
Yeah, we can keep going with whatever.
I don't really know anybody else that I there's I mean, I could go on and on and on about this.
Oh, what about Dr. Trump?
Oh yeah, I would love to eat lunch with Dr. Lord King, Dr. Trump. Only for the fact that A, yes, it would be a delicious meal, but B, I would like to have a one-on-one lunch with that guy and just talk to him. I probably wouldn't talk about politics. I
don't think he would talk about politics either.
He probably wouldn't agree to a one-on-one lunch with me. We'll see how big the podcast is. But that would be great to have a good lunch with Dr. Trump. It would just, I would like to see who he is. I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of these people you actually can't know at all. They're just celebrities.
Somewhere in there, he's just a New Yorker.
Maybe.
Somewhere in there.
Maybe.
He's got that fuck you thing going down.
I would like to drive some of his cars. I wonder what he's got.
That's an interesting question.
He's a billionaire. I know he's got one.
Yeah.
He's got some.
I bet you someone made him one. He was like, I don't want another... Someone make me the Trumpmobile.
Ferrari will do that.
Hell yeah.
Ferrari, a lot of them, if you buy specials, like special and edition, like if you were to buy a P330 and crash it, they probably would take it back from you and then not fix it, because they deem it art. And then they'd be like, well, if you drew all over the Mona Lisa, you wouldn't fix that, would you?
Whoa.
Yep.
I've been stricken.
You've been stricken with the knowledge.
That is the heaviest thing I've ever heard. My dear Lord, I completely understand now.
Yeah, there are they used to make cars with, I mean, with soul. With their hands they would bang that metal. I mean, Ferrari beat Ford in the Le Mans, and Ford was one of the largest companies in the world, and Ferrari had like 52 employees. It's
La Passion.
this oui oui, la croissant, la passion, diablos rojo. I'm multilingual.
As you can see, as you can tell.
The next episode I'm pretty sure is going to be things I'm bad at.
Oh, nice.
So we'll have a theme every week. I'm sorry that this one was pretty scatterbrained. This one was kind of me realizing that, yeah, I am going to continue to do this even if nobody listens to it. But
I'm sure that won't be a problem. We had many people ask for this next episode. Oh, should we shout out the people that we specifically... That would be cool.
What?
And then not bleep them? Like the people, like Carl specifically, Carl Jensen.
Oh, Carl was throwing down love. Mike Sanchez commented.
At Toe
Frank
Life.
Pineda, Joe DeMastri.
TK, Tyler Kelly came through.
Tyler
with some
Kelly
beautiful
said a
words.
bunch of nice stuff to me. Parchi. Everybody.
The Lampera.
Everybody was everybody showed good love and support on the internet. So I really appreciate that. What we got? There's got to be something that I can do every week. Is there anything that anybody would want to hear? I asked you guys to give me your opinions before, but I don't know. If you think of anything that would be an interesting segment or thing that I would do every week, I would like at least one thing that I do.
We could do like a news segment. That would be super boring, I guess. That would get too political in nature, I think.
Oh, a news segment. What is worth? Really, what is their worth? I mean, one of them. I'm the next one is gonna go back to kind of being more motivational. It's things I'm bad at and like hobbies, because I mean hobbies are pretty much what make me who I am. They make me really happy, and they make me fulfilled. So I mean, it's like they really help me know who I am. They make me not care to put myself out on the internet. I don't know if I know a lot of people that have trouble doing that, or trouble doing something, not doing it well, and quitting immediately. And so I mean that's a huge thing in life that I for some reason I have been blessed with not caring about failing. Failing has taught me a lot.
Same.
Hell yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah. How many skateboard tricks would you land if you only landed the ones that you landed on the first try?
Oh, that's not even how it works, though.
Exactly.
That's not.
It's not a common thing in people's lives to have falling down be an everyday thing of life.
Yeah, it's made me kind of a twisted individual. I won't lie to you about that.
It's also made because there's two ends to it. It's people that are going to continue to bite the grit and do it, and there's people that it might be not beneficial to push them that hard. It's all about self-doing.
I'd have to say that all of the endeavors as a family that we go through and that we choose to as hobbies and things are self-reliant, and you can't fake them. You can't fake the funk.
It's the difference between a sport and a discipline.
This is true.
It's the reason that I don't really I mean racing is one of them, but as long as your car works, you can't blame your crew. So it's up to you. You drove the car. You did it. It's weightlifters are better examples. You might be on a weightlifting team, but you lifted that weight. Wrestling is you won that match. Nobody won that match for you. Or karate. It's a self-learning experience. Drumming instruments are cool because it's a self-learning experience that only is you, but that you can apply to everyone else with you and do it together. Like biking, skateboarding, you're never going to land a trick that you are not going to land. But hobbies are scary for people to start. I hear so many people say, "Oh, I want to start doing that," and then they have trouble actually following through with continuing to do them.
That's why we need to be a force of positivity. To show people, it's nice that people get this as an outlet to hear you speak about things. And one of the nicer things about that, I grew up playing music, and going out and playing and seeing other bands makes you want to start a band, just the way it works. You see a guy that looks like you and you talk to him afterwards and you're like, oh fuck, I could play a guitar if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes to show anyone out there, you can do what you want to. I mean, we're not like specialized people in any way. I'm not.
I will literally leave you with this question. I think that's something that if I can remember to do it every week, I'm going to leave you with a question to think about for the next week. And this is my question for you to next week, which will go a lot along with the podcast next week. It's think of something that you're bad at that you want to be better at. Think of the reasons that you aren't good at it. And then, regardless of what your answers to those, then ask yourself this one question. How often do I do that specific thing a day? And then, so I appreciate you all for listening.
Welcome to the dope game. We moving way. Welcome to the dope game. We moving live. Welcome to the dope game. We talking money. Welcome to the dope game. Let me show you. Welcome to the dope game. We moving way. Welcome to the dope game. We moving live. Welcome to the dope game. We talking money. Welcome to the dope game. You wanna be down, you wanna be this or that. We pitching the birds, they flying, my niggas